Hello, and welcome back to Take Back Your Authority with Heather Boltice. I'm so grateful that you're here with me today and my guest, who I'll introduce to you in just a moment. But let's go ahead and open up in prayer and then we'll get started. So, dear Lord, I just thank you for this day. Thank you for Laura that she's able to come and speak her wisdom to my audience as well. And just speak in us, give us your words, your wisdom, and your discernment, and guide us as we go through this episode. Amen. All right. Okay. So today's conversation is actually a very important one. We are talking about something that many people are walking through silently, something that can slowly steal your identity, your confidence, and your sense of self if you don't recognize it. So, and that is narcissist abuse. And more importantly, how to break free from it and to take back your authority. And so I'm honored to introduce my guest, Laura, who is also my friend. We met probably, I don't know, 5, 6 years ago. And I love that she's doing this work, and I'm so grateful to have her on my show. So today I'm joined by Laura Richards, who is a narcissist abuse recovery expert. Laura is an international podcaster, a number one best-selling author and speaker, dedicated to empowering women through her global podcast. That's where I'm at. And her best-selling book, Married to the Nice Guy: Getting Over Narcissistic Abuse. And Laura also shares her personal journey of recovering from 32 years of marriage to a narcissist. And her mission is simple and but powerful: to shine a light on narcissist abuse and to let women know they are never alone and that healing is always possible. So, Laura, welcome to the podcast. I'm so honored to have you here.
I'm so glad
And
you're here. Thanks for having me, Heather.
yes, yes, yes. So, Laura, for someone hearing your story for the first time, who are you? Who are you, and what led you to this work?
Oh, I'm just someone who got divorced after 32 years of marriage for irreconcilable differences. And then I became an accidental expert. A few months later, I started to unravel lies and betrayals. And all of a sudden, I got to be an expert in narcissistic abuse. I did not plan for this. It just happened. I think I had said the word gaslighting. And so the algorithm started showing me things. so so what happened was it explained everything that had been going on. I was in a marriage where I didn't understand why we couldn't get along. I also didn't. I'm like, why did we get divorced? Like, why couldn't we
Mhm.
figure it out? Like, what was the problem? Well, I was married to someone who was actively not trying to work anything out. They're
Mhm.
talking out both sides of their mouth. So, I just became an accidental expert and decided that keeping quiet only protects abusers, and I don't protect abusers. And so,
Mhm.
I started talking. Never say his name. It's just insert your clown here, and I speak about it to warn the others because I was in it for 33 total, and as a Gen Xer, this is the information that we need because we were not taught this, and we've been societalized to the fairy tale and sweeping you off your feet and your Prince Charming and all that. And it's like those things are all well and good, but there are dangers in that, and we weren't taught that. So, so that's the
Yep.
story in a nutshell.
Very good.
Mhm.
So, you were married for 32 years, and what did that look like at the beginning? I mean, were there any signs?
Yes. Now looking back, I see them all.
Yeah.
The thing is that okay, so we were friends in college, and we were both dating other people, and so we became fast friends. We all there was a group of us that hung out together. And the thing is that once, like, I broke up with my boyfriend, he broke up with his actually fiance,
Mhm.
um, not for any reason for each other, but it was soon after we were dating, and he was like, "Well, we've been friends. Look, maybe we should date." And
Mm.
that's okay. So looking back, that's a red flag because there's a
Mm.
grooming process. Okay, because narcissists always have the next one waiting. Well, that was me.
Mhm.
So when he broke up with his ex, with his fiance, who was my friend as well, we actually are still in touch. Um, I was there waiting. I was ready to go because he had groomed me to be the next one.
Mm.
I didn't know. I didn't know any of this stuff. I just thought, oh, somebody's paying attention to me. And I
Yeah.
had that deep longing to be loved and wanted and to get married and have kids. And, because I didn't want to be a spinster at 20. And, so
20.
I know.
That
So,
shows our age, right?
it's so ridiculous. No, but I just always was like, "Oh, I wanna get married and have kids at 20." That's what I envisioned. I'm like, "For Pete's sakes, I didn't even have a full brain."
Yeah.
So there was never any, well, okay, I'm not gonna say never. There was never really any yelling, but there was a lot of coercive control. So this is something that we're all learning about now. Coercive control is like the subtle, constant manipulation, gaslighting, all that to get you to do things, right?
Mm,
Make you feel a certain way to help. Gaslighting makes you question your own reality and makes you question your own thoughts. And so
mhm.
that's what I started seeing. Like looking back, did I see those? Looking back, I see them.
Yeah.
Then, no, didn't see one thing, didn't see a thing because I believed that if someone had something like if they said, "You're kinda difficult, you should really work on this thing." I would be like, "Oh, well, thank you for telling me that, and I will take it upon myself to fix that," right? No.
Mm,
Need to have your own introspection to say, like, "Do I really do that? Am I
mm,
really that way, or is this filtering through their own, discomfort or whatever it is?" So, I didn't know
yeah.
any of that. I was young and also not taught that. So, I didn't have the skills, and I did that for decades, and really, that's what I was taught growing up. I unraveled all 55 years of my life when
Mm,
I got divorced. I did not unravel just the 33 I was with him. I'm
yeah.
like, "Ugh, we're just gonna take it down to the studs and figure it all out."
Yeah, so you talk about gaslighting. So what are
Yeah,
some examples of somebody the gaslighting or what
mhm,
are some signs that would
yeah.
tell that someone is a narcissist?
So, this is not from, like, if they were gonna go get diagnosed, but it's a
Yeah.
high need of control and
Mhm.
a really big lack of empathy. Plus, you add on to that that they have a really big need for admiration from you and others. So
Mm,
okay, so then the gaslighting is that this is meant to throw you off and cause chaos and cause confusion. So a lot of women I talk to, and myself included, we just walked around going, "I just feel crazy. Like, I
mm,
swear he said this, or I swear this happened and he's telling me it didn't." And this
mm,
is your partner, right? This is the
yeah.
person that you decide to spend your life with. Even someone who's dating, gaslighting will throw you off immediately. It's a lot of, "That's not what I said. You're so sensitive." Like
Mm,
they'll put you down or whatever, the backhanded compliments, that's the subtle ways. And you're so sensitive, and then you try to correct and be like, "Oh yeah, maybe I am a little sensitive." That's how I was, and that's how I know a lot of people are. Because people say like, "Why didn't you leave at the first red flag?" I'm like, the first red flag did not look red. The first red flag was very like, "Well, you're being a jerk. Why'd you say that?" You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
and so then you have the other side of like, "Why'd you give up so easily?" Like that kind of thing. So,
Mm,
and what was modeled to me was years and years of being married, decades. His parents are still married. My parents were married till the end, and
yeah.
they were together 60 years. And so it's like, that's what was modeled to me. And
Mhm.
unless you were being hit, it wasn't abuse because I'm sure,
Right.
and that's what we were taught. So gaslighting and all the manipulation, the high need for control, it just is meant to throw you off and make you question yourself, make you question
Mm,
everything. And you will walk on those eggshells to make sure everything is good in your house. And, maybe if you're in systems like, say, a religious system that is like really promoting that, like being a good submissive wife or whatever, and we're never called to be in abuse. That's
right.
biblical. It's in the Bible about,
Yeah.
that you don't have to say for abuse. It's like God
Yeah.
knows more than that. And and so there's so many messages coming to you. And for me, I was in the church for 27 years. I
Mhm.
replaced the Holy Spirit's voice with his voice.
Mm,
'Cause that's what I wanted to hear was, "How will I please my husband?" Didn't matter what God was saying. It was like, "How
mm,
can I please my husband?" And so that you can gaslight yourself. That's what I learned to do. He
mm.
trained me, so and I hear that from so many people.
Yeah, so what point did you finally say, "I can't keep living like this anymore"? Were you the one that initiated the divorce, or was he, or how did that
Yeah. So, kind of, and this is part of the narcissistic, discard and everything is, I was going to therapy, because he said I was such a terrible person, and,
Mm,
so if you can believe it, I was grieving that my mother had died. So he was like, so they
yeah.
have a very like, it's not even a lack of empathy, it's like straight out apathy, like, they
Mhm.
and so
Yeah.
he said, "I think there's something wrong with you." So, I got sent to therapy, and
Mhm.
listen, that's where I found my voice, and what I started to realize as I was healing was, "Am I doing this for 40 years? For 40 more years? Am I gonna keep doing
Yeah.
this?" Because it sounded exhausting, and I also didn't think I would survive it. And he was
Mhm.
barely talking to me and all that, so as part of the discard, he for the last couple of years of our marriage, he like, made a sweeping announcement, he wasn't gonna be intimate with me anymore, and I had to beg for it and all yes. I mean, like, it's like, they're amazing. They're just say the words, "I wanna get a divorce," but they won't
Yeah.
because they have to be the victim, you have to be the bad guy,
Yeah.
despite the fact that they've driven you to the brink of insanity, and so he really just, like, was barely talking to me and ramping up, inappropriate behavior with other women, things like that. And so he came into the room and asked me if, he's like, if this is the way our life is going to be, you should tell me you're done. So I'll immediately throw it to me. You should
Mhm.
tell me you're done. And I was like, why do I have to say it? A
Yeah.
and then he's like, "You're right. I'm just not brave enough to say it." And I said, "You know what? I am done." So
Mm.
that's called the reverse discard. They push you to the edge so that you do it because they're talking bad about you behind the scenes with their flying monkeys already. The smear
Yeah.
campaign, maybe they've already been talking bad about you, which I suspected, but then my grown children said, "Oh, yeah, that's what he's telling everybody you gave up on the marriage," and I'm like,
Mhm.
"Wait, did he forget to tell everybody, yeah, he drove me insane, and the way he
Yeah.
did me, and that he had a girlfriend, like, did he forget all that part? Yes. They're gonna play the victim till the very end, and
Mhm.
you're gonna be to blame. So, you can be discarded, you can be reverse discarded, whatever, and what I teach when I'm talking to women is, like, we don't care what they say about us and what they did because they wanna be the victim, and we have to learn how to get over what's being said behind our back. We
Mm.
have to work on our internal validation, right? We
Yeah.
can't be worrying about that external validation from others. We have to work on that, which has been broken down, so we're work on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Because they always wanna look like the nice guy, right?
Always.
They always want that validation. Yeah. Yep.
Always the hero and every yeah. Yeah, he was serving the homeless and all that kind of stuff, so it's like, yeah,
Mm.
he looked like the greatest person ever.
Yeah. So what are some common traits that, narcissistic traits of a narcissist that
Mhm.
people overlook?
Well, it's hard because when they're a covert narcissist so we have a okay, we can just do 2 kinds, covert and overt. So overt,
Mm.
really out there saying, "I love myself, everything I do is great." See those people often on movies or in the public eye or in political figures who are like, "I love myself and everything I do is great." That's sometimes what we think of as a narcissist, but then you
Mm.
have covert kind, which is what I dealt with, is out in public, he was, like, so generous, serving the
Mhm.
homeless, everybody loved him, and thought he was so great, and that's why I named my book Married to a Nice Guy, because everybody thought he was so nice, and
Mhm.
then he would come home, and it was just, like, the silent treatment,
Mm.
and, um, backhanded compliments, the gaslighting, making you feel like it's so chaotic. Like the
Mhm.
garage door would open after work and I'd be like on edge. That's the walking on eggshells. It's that kind of thing. You never really have peace because you're waiting for
Yeah.
the other shoe to drop. Even if there's no physical violence, it's just, a constant psychological violence that and you walk
Which
on eggshells, so those are the things. If you
yeah.
if you know what walking on eggshells is, if you're that anxious if you hear that garage door open or you hear the keys in the door and you
Yeah.
jump, listen, there might be something going on that you need to look at.
Yeah. So why do so many strong, intelligent women stay in these relationships?
Yeah. Well, listen. they like us strong and intelligent because they do actually mirror us. So
Mhm.
that's why so many people are it's so wild. Like anybody can fall prey to this, but they really like those strong, intelligent women that they can mirror. They can like they're like some sort of monster that really they need a supply, right?
Yeah.
And we stay because we are conditioned and
Mhm.
psychologically manipulated to stay because we have intermittent reinforcement and then intermittent abuse. So the times when they're abusing us and then they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I'll never do it again. Then that gives us a chemical reaction. So our abuser is also our soother. And
Mhm.
we now are chemically bonded. And that's why it's hard to leave. That's why people go back because that's what happens. It's that trauma bond. You can break it, but it's one of the hardest things that we have to work on because our brain is chemically attached to them.
Mhm. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Right.
And so would you say that this type of abuse attacks a person's identity and sense of authority in their own lives?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Because, you don't even really know who you are.
Yeah.
You don't know. And at the beginning, maybe you were like an artist or a singer or something, and they just thought it was the greatest thing ever, or maybe even just anything. Oh, I love all the fun pictures you post on social media, things like
Mhm.
that. But then as time goes on, like very little time, they start breaking you down immediately. I hate that you sing. I hate that you leave to go sing and
Mhm.
you're not with me anymore. And so everything becomes a problem. So what happens is you slowly are having your identity chipped away and now you become a shell of a human. You are molding yourself and shape shifting yourself to be whatever they need you to be so that you can keep peace in your relationship. And it's heartbreaking. And so that's something that we really have to work on after because I mean, for me, my gosh, I re like I had to reevaluate my entire 55 years and like, who really am I? And my
Mhm.
God for my therapist who was like, yeah, when people ask you to go do something, go do it and see if you like it. And I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, that's an idea."
So
So
that was a huge blessing in disguise, right?
sure, yeah, I mean, of
Yeah.
course, you don't feel like it is, but then I had friends who are healthy and had been through this, are like, "Yay, you get to, become someone new, or you get to figure out who you are," and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Okay, I'll try to look at it as positive."
Well, I mean, if you hadn't gone to therapy, you maybe not had realized what
Exactly,
was going on.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was the hardest part of breaking free?
Yeah, the hardest part was the trauma bond, which was how did I hate him and love him at the same time?
Mm,
That was the hardest part because I really truly loved him. And, until I started finding out about all his lies, I loved him and I was like,
yeah.
I don't understand why we got a divorce. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't understand why we couldn't make it work out. So then when I started to unpack the lies, I was like, "Oh my gosh," and my poor brain
Mhm.
didn't jump on board right away. My poor brain was
Yeah.
still in a trauma bond going, "Hey, do we have a husband?" And I'd be like, "No, brain, we don't have a." But and so you are going through that trauma bond, you're, like, withdrawing from this.
Mm,
So that was the hardest thing, when I had a name for my pain and the cycle of abuse and all the things that are going on, it was for me, I'm such a lifelong learner and so type A that I was like, "Oh, this is the reason why this is happening." And
mhm.
that just made so much sense to me and it helped me to stop the pain immediately. No, but it helped me on my healing journey. So, yeah, the trauma bond, that was the hardest. That's for sure.
Yeah, and when you say, like, the lies, was he lying to you about stuff or just lying to other people about you?
Everything. Like, there
Okay.
were so many I think back to, like this is the dumbest thing, Heather. Like, I remember okay, he would lay in bed, but he had an iPad, and he would read library books, like,
Mhm.
on his iPad all the time, like, he was an avid reader. And then, like, we would be at parties, and he'd be like, "Oh, I just haven't had a lot of time to read lately." And I'd be like, "I don't understand."
Mm,
So, it was weird to me. I'm like, "Why would you even lie about this?" And
yeah.
why did you say that? He's like, "Well, I just don't really have a lot of time to read." And then literally we'd get in bed and he'd open up his book. I'm like
Yeah.
so it was I don't know what it is, but they just have a compulsion, I guess. I don't know.
Mm.
But it yeah, it was all the time. I've unraveled look, I'm still unraveling things every once in a while when I'm writing another book, and so when I'm writing, my brain goes, "Oh, was that a lie? Was he
Mm,
really at that place? Did he really do that? Is that" Let me tell you, I unraveled something just a couple months ago, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, that was a lie too." Like, so
mm,
dumb things that don't make any sense. Why do you
yeah.
have to lie about it? Why? I don't know.
Well, yeah, if you're a compulsive liar, you don't even know what's true and what's not, right?
Well, and also, like, our default is not to lie, right? Well, I
Yeah,
don't know what your default is, Heather, but
right. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I tell the truth.
right, and
Probably to a
also
fault sometimes, but
right, exactly. But
yeah.
because some people say like, "Oh my gosh, it must be exhausting to be them." I'm like, it's not because think about what our default is. Our default is we maybe, we go through life not lying, and also we go through life with other people, like caring for them. We walk through this world like thinking about others, right?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you do too. I know enough
Yeah.
about you, right? And so they don't have that as a default. Their default is lying and lying, cheating,
Mhm.
stealing, like
Yeah.
that's their default. And so that it's not a problem for them. Like just like it is for us to wake up and it's not a problem for us to walk through this world with joy or not lying.
Mhm. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So I know it's hard for us to fathom because our mind, like you said, our mind doesn't even go there.
But
So it's like,
that's exactly what I had to unravel because 'cause I'd sit there and go, "Oh, I wouldn't do this. That's why you can't put logic to this because
mm,
it's illogical."
yeah,
They don't admit to any wrongdoing. My ex told me he was doing nothing wrong, and, um, and I just had to whatever, like, "If you have a
mm,
problem with me, go to therapy." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I did, and then
interesting.
that's her got my point, so thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, what are like the first steps if someone's recognizing that their spouse or whatever is this
Yeah.
person? What is the first one of the first steps they can do to, I hate to say, get out of the relationship, but I mean, you need to protect yourself as well.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you can try to stay, but it's impossible because you can
Yeah.
become a shell of a person and it still won't be good enough. So you really have to save yourself. But, the thing that's going to save you is like decentering them and starting to work on your boundaries.
Mm,
So, boundaries, choosing yourself. Now, that is going to be a problem for many of them, and they're going to be like you're gonna start seeing they'll pull back and things like that. Um, it's really horribly sad but listen, yes, we're dedicated to our marriages and all that, right? But we don't wanna try and salvage a relationship with an abuser because we're worth more than that. And so that's the really hard part. I have tons of resources for ways to escape and all that because you have to do it very quietly. You don't like announce, I think you're
right.
me. And you don't do that because like one of my guests on my show, he didn't hit her until like I forget how many, like let's say 10 years in. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's like we want to be cautious all the time. And so setting boundaries and starting to work on your self-worth, which I was doing, not the boundaries part, but the self-worth part, yeah, I just forgot
Yeah.
to I was helping other people with their self-worth. I forgot to do it
Yeah.
for myself, but those are the things we need to work on, and they probably won't like it, and you can try
Yeah.
to talk to them, but don't go to therapy if you think you are in abuse because, there's an imbalance of power and he or they will, gaslight the therapist oftentimes and then make you the problem.
So don't go to couples therapy. Go
Don't
on
go to
your own.
couples therapy. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. Yes, don't go to couples
Yeah.
therapy. If you
Yeah.
think there's any of this is resonating with you, do not go to couples therapy because you will be the problem and it's just gonna be a waste of time. They're gonna look
Yeah.
like hero that they brought in their poor, crazy wife that
Mm.
really needs help. And now you're trying to explain away something that's not true.
Yeah, it's like what you mentioned about the 10 years in too, because I'm thinking if you say something pretty bold, then that could become a problem as well.
Right. Exactly. And that's why
Yeah.
we do it strategically and quietly. And so there's an escape plan on my website. Just even if you call like, if any of this is resonating, if you call the domestic violence hotline just to talk to them, you
Mhm.
don't have to do anything. It's just to talk
Yeah,
to them because it you can't you can't stay. You can't stay. Not and
yeah,
be safe and, not and really have a relationship. What's the point? Some people are like, "I'll just
right.
run out the clock." What?
Yeah,
That doesn't even make sense, like like, we have so much
yeah,
time left, especially, like, the women I work with in midlife. It's like, "No, we still have tons of time left.
yeah.
We're not
Well,
dead, we're not done."
yeah, and I'm sure it's hard. I mean, you think about financially and all
Yes.
that too, that's gotta be tough for, a
Yeah.
lot of women to think about
Yep.
that too?
Yeah, of course. And so, yeah, I have tons of resources on my website with those kinds of things because that always comes up. So, tons of
Yeah.
coaches, tons of ways to make money on your own if you've been a stay at home mom and you haven't really had a career. Maybe you gave up your career, which is very common. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, after the abuse, what does it look like to take back your authority after you've gotten out?
oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's like you can breathe again. So, I at first it was very, like I was saying before, like kind of scary and who am I and what am I going to do? But then to be able to walk in this world and say, like, I get to make my own choices and I get to decide what I'm going to do with my life. And who do I wanna be when I grow up? That's what I always say. Who do I wanna be when I grow up?
Yeah,
Because, if you've been in abuse, you've had somebody not supporting you, telling you, "No, you can't do those things," "No, people are lying to you when they say you're a good speaker," or whatever it is, right?
yeah,
And, whatever those negative things that they're saying to you. And so, taking back your authority looks like unraveling all that and really like standing in your power and being like, no, I can do this. And if
mhm,
I don't know how to do it, I will find somebody who can help me. I will look up a video. I will learn how to do it. And there's such a beautiful freedom. We're not meant to live in such, bondage. We're
yeah,
meant to be free, to be able to do like why do only some people get to do whatever they want to do? No, we should all be able to do that.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
it's been amazing. I feel very empowered um doing what I'm doing because shame is broken in community and in conversation.
mhm,
When we talk about things like this, when we bring it to the light, immediately shame is broken. And we shouldn't be walking around in shame. We shouldn't be ashamed. They're
right,
the ones that should be ashamed of what they're doing.
yeah. So, speaking of community, how important is it to have community during this time? Well, always, but in
Yeah, totally,
particularly for
right? Yeah, well, because I felt very alone, and until
Mhm,
I started saying things, I started saying things on social media, and now I have a private support group. People come into the group, and even in my DMs on my social media, people say like, "Oh, thank God you're doing okay," or
mhm,
"I was so happy I found your page because now I know I'm not alone."
mm,
And that's what it does, right? It's that community and conversation. It's to know you're not alone because I really felt really alone, really ashamed. People around me were like, "Oh, don't talk about it." And then I started to understand, "What?
mhm,
What?" So
yeah,
I started to understand that not talking about it protects the abuser, and I don't protect abusers. And so I want other women to know they're not alone and there's still hope. And that's the biggest thing, especially for I've met women who were who were married as long as I was, married longer than I was,
mm,
and feel hopeful when they come to my page and see like,
yeah,
gosh, okay, so this is normal and this is, and I can do this and simple things like choosing the color of your next couch, or the
mm,
paint on your walls or what you want to eat for dinner. I had a friend who
yeah,
I asked her to pick out a salad dressing for something and she's like, I've never been allowed to choose. I have no idea what
wow,
I like. And so those little steps
mhm,
that's how we take back our authority, right? I mean, it's like just
yeah,
those life choices, and let me tell you, you feel so empowered as you're walking through and doing
yeah.
and then understanding that other people are going through the same thing and it's normal and you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think that's with anything, right? We all think that we're the only ones with
Yeah.
problems, and it's like, everybody has problems,
Right,
but we just don't
exactly.
see it because 'cause they're not telling us. Yeah,
Well, that's the thing, and especially, like, I don't know about you, but, like, sometimes in church, like, sitting in church and, sometimes we put on our Sunday smile and that's hard because once we started like, I had a women's table at my group. Once I started talking about things, let me tell you, like, all the women had been involved. "Oh, I went through that, I went through that." And what can happen then is they rallied around me, and then you can, "Oh, I can talk to this person about this, and I can talk to that person." And so you're not alone.
Yeah.
And so finding a safe group to be in, um, really anything. And you sometimes have to test the water with some of your friends and
Yeah.
say, "Oh, I just went through this." And some of them will be like, "Oh, okay." And
Yeah.
they don't want to, they may not be ready. It's all everybody's comfort level. And then I had other friends who sat across from me and said, like, "Tell me everything. Tell me every
Mm.
feeling you're having and everything
Yeah.
happening." And I'm thankful for all of those friends that really
Yeah.
taught me everything.
Yeah, for sure. So, what does healing look like, after oh, we talked about that. We just talked about that, sorry.
Yep. Okay.
But speaking about, just having the community and so forth, but, church, but what does forgiveness play in the healing? Are you
Yeah.
able to forgive the spouse? I mean, I personally believe that forgiveness is really healing, but what's your
Yeah.
take on that?
Yeah, and yeah, I can see that. It's a little different in abuse, and so I've really been grappling with it, but something I wrote in my book that I really liked was I had read this somewhere that if you don't feel okay, two things. We do not have to forgive to start our healing, okay? We don't have to forgive first for our healing to start. That's what I believe. Because sometimes people will be like, "I can't even start healing because I haven't forgiven him." And
Mm,
forgiveness might not come right away. I know it's for us, but when you've been in abuse, it just feels a little different. And so this is what I have learned and what I have read that I enjoyed and really resonated with, that sometimes the healing happens and then forgiveness comes along for the ride.
yeah,
And so it's doesn't have to be like one thing and then the next. You know what I mean?
yeah,
It wasn't like one event and then this, because I did go through this forgiveness event at a church, and I'll tell you,
mhm,
I got in my car and was like, "No, I'm not for no, I don't."
mm,
You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
that at the core was really what was true. And so when I started reading more about that, because there's a lot to unravel. It really is a lot
mhm,
to unravel. Does do I hold any hatred? Does it control me? No. But I really like that idea as you're healing, forgiveness comes along for the ride. And I don't think that you have to forgive him. And I say him because that's the majority of abusers are male. You don't have to forgive him to start your healing because that might hold you up. Like if you
right,
to go heal, come back. You know what I mean? Like bring
yeah.
along with you. Oh
Well,
man.
I think too, I think forgiveness thinks that it says what the other person did was okay, which is that is not forgiveness at all.
Exactly.
For
Yes.
yeah, forgiveness is being able to let it go, but yeah, it's a process. I mean, especially with something that's been on for so long and it's so deep, it's not just like a one-time little thing. It's a whole process.
Yes, and I think that's why it's been an ongoing thing. And has there been one event of forgiveness? No. Has there been there's no control. They're not, I don't think about, and I say them because he's married to the person I thought he was messing around with. And so it's like
Mhm.
that well, it's not a surprise because
Yeah,
that they do. So forgiving them, I don't see, I don't even have the words for you, Heather, but
yeah,
those are the 2 things that I have learned is I feel like it comes along for the ride, and then you don't have to forgive to start your healing. Don't wait on your healing, but really keep that in your mind so that
yeah.
it's still part of the process. Whatever
Well,
that
yeah, it's not
whatever
one
that
or
looks for you, if it's not something that's biblical for you, whatever that looks like for you.
well, yeah, and I don't think it's a this or that. I think it's both and. I mean, they're definitely intertwined together
Yes, I love that.
for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly,
Yeah,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah. So, what does it mean for a woman to truly step back into her power after abuse?
Yeah.
Is there a time? Is there? Is there an aha moment or is it just kind of like, "Oh, wait, let me look back. I think I've gone somewhere, or I think I've been
Yeah.
healed." I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is like an awakening, right? It's like one day you do wake up and you have a little more clarity. When you're not in active abuse, your brain starts to heal. We know that the brain can heal. So that's why we want to do a lot of work to heal ourselves and build new neural pathways to heal our brain, which is going to be things like affirmations, prayer, new thought patterns, all the different kinds of things, right? And that helps us build new thought patterns. So, I mean, literally, I remember waking up after a few months going, wait a second, I think those are my thoughts. And so
Mhm,
that's the part where you start to see it's like a little awakening. You start
mhm,
to like make little choices and, oh, I'm going to go. I did this. Oh, I like this. And, "Oh, I don't like that. Why I've always, like, whatever, eat
mm,
this because that's
yeah,
he wanted." And so I think it's a little, like, awakening, but the biggest thing you'll find is that when you start loving yourself and setting boundaries, because I believe those go hand in hand,
yeah,
you will really see a difference, because when someone tries to cross your boundaries,
mm,
you start to be like, no, that's not who I am anymore." I had somebody say to me, well, you used to allow this. And I'm like, I know
mm,
it was so unhealthy. And I don't do that anymore. And they're
yeah,
like, oh, okay.
which is
So
probably weird for them to hear, right?
for sure, because,
Yeah,
the people who benefited from you not having boundaries
mm,
are the people who are not going to want you to have boundaries. And so,
yeah,
yeah, and so, like, sometimes you don't have to have those conversations, but this person was close enough to me where I was like, "Yeah, that was so unhealthy. I don't do that anymore.
mm,
That's
yeah,
not who I am." So, I think it's like an awakening. You
yeah,
Every day you feel like you get a little more clarity and you get a little more clear on what you want out of your life and who you are and just
mhm,
anything, like the little things you like.
yeah. So do you think there's different levels of narcissists?
Yeah, I think it is a spectrum, right?
Yeah,
But I think they all follow the same playbook.
mm,
But yes, I mean, some are worse than others, of course. You have ones that are a lot more violent. So,
mm,
but we can't really. There's not anything you can do with that information other than you have to be careful,
yeah,
because
yeah,
the ones that are very covert, like I had, where he's a nice guy and everybody loved him.
yeah,
It's like the subtle digs and everything, the back
yeah,
when I said, "Oh, you're being so sensitive," things like that. Those things are, unless you are educated, they're hard to see, and that's why we
yeah,
talk about it. That's why I've had videos where people comment, "Oh my gosh, another level unlocked,"
mhm,
because we don't realize subtle things that are happening around us. So that's why we have to just keep educating ourselves, because they're not gonna come over to you with a sign that says, "Hello, I'm here to abuse you." That's not how
right.
they come in, like everything you ever wanted. So
Well,
we
yeah,
have
and you're used to it, right? I mean, especially after 32 years of marriage, it's like, well, that's just normal. Isn't this just
Yeah,
normal?
he's just
Yeah,
he's just being a jerk or whatever. He didn't mean
yeah,
it. Yeah, you start to gaslight yourself
yeah,
and easier. I didn't want to look what I say. I didn't want to look directly at the sun, because if I
mm,
did, then my entire life would fall apart. And then it eventually did, because I had to choose. Can I continue to live
yeah,
like this? I couldn't. I knew I deserved more,
yeah,
and living like that and so much sadness, depression,
yeah,
didn't even think he loved me, didn't even think he liked me, because they
mm,
say all day long they love you, but man, I
yeah,
don't think he liked me at all. So, I just started to say, like, "I think I deserve more than this, and
mm,
I don't think you like me." So I'm out.
yeah. Well, I'm sure too there's the guilt and the shame of how did I end up in this relationship and
Yeah,
how did I, go
yeah.
so long? Which there shouldn't be, but of course that's just our humanness, right?
Oh,
That
yeah, of
we
course,
yeah,
that's the first emotion you're gonna have, is you're gonna be ashamed, because I
yeah,
was like, "Oh my gosh, how did I not see it?" But this is what we have to remember, they don't come in as someone saying, "I'm gonna
yeah,
abuse." They come in lying to you. They come in like everything you've ever wanted
yeah,
and everything you've been hoping and praying for. That's how they come in, and
yeah,
especially you said, "Oh, like I said, "Oh, I want 3 kids and I wanna do this," and he's like, "Oh my gosh, I want 3 kids." So they just start mirroring you right away.
Mm,
So they come in like everything you've ever wanted, and so I have to tell women, "Oh my gosh, he was lying to you." So, of course, you believed
yeah,
him because it was your spouse, so of course you believe him. What are you gonna
yeah,
say? Like, "Are you really do you really love" like, you're not gonna do that.
yeah,
We are trusting the person we're married to, and then it's every day, you get used to it, and then
yeah,
at some point, you probably go, "Ugh, I can't do it." I hope
right.
I hope one day you'll stop and go, "Oh, no. I can't do this anymore."
Yeah. I mean, I'd never even heard the word narcissist until later on in life. It's like we never even talked about it. So the fact that this is getting out there, we're talking about it is
Yeah.
really important. And I mean, I don't even think that they realize that they're that way, right?
Oh, no, they do.
Oh, they do?
They
Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Okay. That's can you
yeah,
unpack that?
yes. They do. I'll tell you why, because they don't abuse everybody. They
Mm,
don't go out in public and abuse their boss. They don't abuse the waitress. Now I'm talking about covert because sometimes the
yeah.
malignant or overt ones, yes, they are yelling at the waitress and all that, but I'm
Yeah.
talking about the covert. They don't go out in public and, like my kids, it's funny, like my ex would pick up the phone and it would be work and they'd go like, "Oh, dad's got his work voice on." It's like a complete switch
Yeah.
right away. So they don't abuse everybody. They
Mm,
abuse who they want to abuse. So they know very much what they're doing.
mm,
They
yeah.
know what they're doing. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's very interesting. So
Yeah.
what would you say to looking back now, what would you have
Yeah.
said to your younger self to maybe avoid this or whatever? Yeah, what would you say to your younger self?
Well, you don't have to rush to get married. It's okay to wait. You don't have to rush because that's one of their tactics is to rush
Mm,
into marriage, rush to really lock you down, rush to get you pregnant, things like that so that you're locked down.
mm,
It's like their ultimate prize, like to get married and have, get you pregnant. Eh,
mm,
and I would have said that and I would have said, you are loved just as you are
yeah,
without someone saying that they love you or saying that they want you to be their wife. You're loved just as you are.
yeah.
And, I really I didn't believe that at all.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if I would have believed it thinking back, but would I like to hear it? Yeah. I think
Yeah,
maybe it would have kept me I mean, I have my kids and my granddaughter, so it's hard, right?
yeah,
That's the good thing that came out of it, and they're beautiful
mhm,
people, and we've had a lot of healing, but, yeah, it's
yeah. So did the kids recognize it, that he was that way when they're growing up, or at what
yeah.
point did they recognize it?
I don't know when they did, but I know that our kids were grown when we got divorced, our
Yeah.
oldest was 29, and so when we called them and said we were gonna get divorced, my 2 oldest actually texted me separately and said,
Mm,
"Really proud of you for leaving. I know
mm,
how miserable you were." And
yeah,
so they see a lot more than we think they do.
yeah,
So they're dealing with a different person, right? They're dealing
yeah,
with their abusive dad. I'm
yeah,
dealing with an abusive so what it looks like, I don't even know. I haven't even unraveled this whole part, but what it looks like is like we put a high demand on the kids for good grades and just different things. And now
yeah,
my kids always like, "You're such a different person," because I'm like so relaxed. I'm like, you
yeah,
don't do that. You don't like that job? Yeah, I guess you should go to another one because life's too short. We're not promised
yeah,
tomorrow." And
right,
no, I don't want that. Like they're beautiful people. They are great members of society. You know what I mean? Like they're just wonderful, caring people. And
yeah,
so that's all I wanted. And
yeah,
I wanted to have a relationship with them because they were not on my side, whatever that means.
mm,
Growing up, they were really because dad was fun. I was a stay
oh,
for a lot of years and and then also I worked in the school district and I was home when they were home.
yeah,
And so I was the disciplinarian and I wasn't as fun. And
yeah,
mom has to make a big deal about everything and that kind of thing. And so,
yeah,
yeah, so it was. they knew I was miserable, and then
Yeah.
also he thinks he's sly, but he had look, they really it's a very much a mother wound, and so they love the attention of other women, and
Yeah.
that was a problem for my kids. They'd be like, "You seem a little too friendly with, like, so and so," or whatever, you know?
Mm,
So
yeah.
sometimes I would say things like that. Yeah,
Well,
and,
yeah, because it goes back from not being loved by their own parents, right? That's what
yeah,
causes them to kind of become this
right.
person.
It's usually from the mother a lot of times,
Mm,
and, yeah, his mom definitely was very cold, lack of
mm,
really, it's a emotional neglect,
yeah,
and so that was the other part that I had a hard time with. It's like you see the reasoning, right? Okay,
yeah,
but I can hold space for that 6-year-old little boy who needed his mommy's love and didn't get it.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
hold I don't hold space for the grown man who could have gotten help instead of abusing.
right.
And so, see, and this is why we need to learn the language because that's cognitive dissonance and you can hold both at the same time. See, I didn't know that.
Mhm,
I thought, "Oh, I can only hold this 6-year-old little boy, and that's it. That's
mm,
the reason why he abuses."
yeah,
Okay, well, I have childhood trauma. I
right,
don't I don't go around abusing, I get I went
right?
no, so we can understand both things and go like, "Oh, that's the reason he does it, but it doesn't excuse it. Doesn't
Right,
excuse the behavior."
no.
So, yeah, and so our brain is fascinating to me, and
Yeah.
yeah, again, accidental expert. Not not on the agenda for my life.
Yes, yes. Well, I love that we are made that we can change, if we become
Yes.
aware,
Yeah,
awareness is what the first step to being able to change, becoming aware and even too like you being married to a narcissist, being aware becoming aware that that's who he was cuz I mean, did you recognize that before you even went to counseling or was it once you went to counseling that you kind of recognized that?
no, I didn't realize for 3 months after our divorce, what
Mm,
happened was I was starting to get clarity, and then someone told me, "Hey, I did you see that your ex is dating so and so?" And I said,
oh,
"Oh my gosh." So what and I was like, "No, I didn't know that because I've been on no contact with everybody." So my kids knew
yeah.
right away. My kids knew because he started dating her immediately. So my kids knew right away. My kids knew I was on no contact, and they
Mm,
also knew that I would have a mental breakdown if I found out, and
mm,
I did anyway. Um,
yeah.
to be, like, flippant about it, but I really did. I really
Yeah.
had a little bit of a breakdown about that because, listen, somebody you've been with for
Yeah.
years, and then they've been lying, and I kept saying, like, "I think there's something going on with you guys, I don't like it." And he'd be like, "No,
Mm,
there's nothing going on." "Okay, well, they're married now." "Oh, you mean" it's like,
yeah.
"You're a liar." You know what I mean? And so, that was really damaging. That was really hard. And so I did not know anything about narcissistic abuse,
Mm,
but because the internet was showing me things, because I was starting
yeah,
to see, because I said gaslighting. And so I think the internet was like, here you go. Here's some stuff
yeah,
about this. I saw a video and that was it. And then when I found out about her, I put the puzzle pieces together and that was it. That was it. I
yeah,
started voraciously reading and trying to understand and then just people came out of the woodwork. I started talking about it and people came out of the woodwork to say
yeah.
like, "Hey, did you know my first marriage was abusive?" And I'm like, "No,
Mm,
because we don't talk about it." And so
right.
and these are people that I'd known for a lot of years in church and
Mm,
friends, dear friends that I didn't know
yeah,
marriages were abusive. And this is how we break that shame, right?
yeah,
We talk about it, we bring it to the light, and then other people can know, and then maybe other people won't be in it for as long as I was.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I think it is too the generation that we grew up in,
Yeah,
it was like
like,
get married. I was married at 20, 21. Yeah, how old was it? 21 or 22?
right.
My husband was 20. He was, just gonna be 21. And, we are still married, but,
Right.
yeah, it's like, I look back and I'm thinking, at the time, I'm like, "Oh, I'm old enough. I graduated college. I know what I'm doing." And it's like, "Oh my gosh," you know? So, at least this generation, they're waiting a little longer
Waiting a little longer.
to get
Yes.
married. I think they know a lot more, there's a lot more out there.
Yeah, and I really like the discussions they're having because I listen to my kids talking and I'm like,
Yeah.
so proud of them, like the way they talk about things and
Mhm.
And it's just they're a lot more open.
Yeah.
Look, I grew up my mom was born and my mom and dad were born in the '30s, so there was a lot of
Oh,
shame
wow.
whenever
Yeah.
the mom had some childhood trauma, and there was a lot of shame around it, and so that was sort of how I was raised, right? You're
Oh,
kinda raised a "Here's some shame for you," you know?
yep.
I didn't like that, and I didn't wanna raise my kids like that, but then not understanding, like, we still didn't have the internet until
Right.
I don't know how long, you know,
The
20 years.
'90s, but it really wasn't like it is today. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'm even thinking about social media, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's like 20 years after I got married, there's social
Yeah.
media, and I'm very thankful that I didn't have social media because I
Yep.
didn't comparison, just like in my social groups and stuff
Yeah.
about what a terrible mom I was because I
Mm.
was so actively being told that. And so
Mm.
it's really hard, and there was all that shame, and it's like my daughter with her daughter is like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so proud of her for
Yeah.
the way she's raising her, the way she's just talking to her and stuff, I'm like, "Oh, I love it," and
Yeah.
that's the whole point was I wanted to be the cycle breaker. Like, "I'm
Yeah.
gonna do this, I'm breaking the cycle." There's so much toxicity in my family, there's so much, damage, and I just was like, "No, I have to break the cycle. Somebody's gotta break the
Yeah.
cycle, might as well be me." So,
Right? Yeah.
whoever
Good
decides
job.
to do it, yeah.
Yeah. Great job.
Listen, I see it immediately with my granddaughter. It's like I see it immediately
Yeah.
when I see her, the way that we all just like love her and the way my daughter is with her. I'm like, this is why I did it. There,
Yeah.
she's never going to have to feel that way. She's never
Yeah.
gonna have to be, you know, insecure and those kind. I mean, yes, she will do that because she's a human, but
Yeah.
like she's going to have people to talk to.
The
Um,
self-worth.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
She'll get talked to about that. Yeah, whenever she'll be, like, a fake crying or something, I'm like, "We don't manipulate."
Oh, good.
She's little, we just talked to her, "Stop manipulating us."
There you go. Perfect. And you recognize what she's doing, so you
Yeah,
can stop
yeah,
it. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for being on here. This has been such a powerful conversation. And of course, I'll have everything in the description below. But where can people find you? Yeah, where can they
Well,
connect with you?
yeah, everything is That's Where I'm At podcast, all over social media. That's Where I'm At podcast.com is my website, and I'll give you every link to everything that I do. And yeah, so That's Where I'm At podcast.com and all over social media.
Yeah.
And yeah, my podcast and just I'm teaching and making fun of the narcissist daily.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming. If this has helped you in any way, please like, subscribe, and share to anyone that you think that this will be a benefit to. And until next time, have a blessed week, and I will see you then.